So first of all, we'll sand our cured laminate. The next thing you need to do is wipe down with acetone. This will bring back a lot of the chemical bond. The next thing you need to do is work out how much flow coat you're going to need. The coverage of brush flow coat is approximately 1.6 square meters to the kilo. So we're just going to measure out our area, taking into account the return here. So that comes out at 1.3 meters. By 1.3 meters. So now we'll do the sums to work out how much flow coat we need. So we've got 1.3 by 1.3, 1.69 square meters. We divide that by 1.6, which we know is the approximate square meter per kilo coverage, and that comes out just over a kilo, so 1.05 kilos of flow coat that we need to cover this area. So we've got our product all weighed out, ready to be catalysed and applied. Now temperatures, ideally you want to be between 15 and 20 degrees for applying it. Avoid applying this direct in sunlight. The UV will accelerate the cure and you'll find the product will just be going off while you're applying it. If it is a sunny day, just create a shade or cast a shadow over the project, if that's possible. If not, just wait for a kind of overcast, but it's got to be a dry day. If the flow coat gets wet before it cures, you'll have no other choice but to strip it off and start again. Likewise, if you forget to catalyze a product and apply it, there's no salvaging it, you'll have to strip it off and start again. Now it's important, when you get the tin, you mix it well. There's a sticker on there, mix well before use. Do not transfer the product straight into your bucket without mixing it. If you do that, you're not going to have enough wax in that first coat to do its job properly. Flow coat is a gel coat which has a wax added to it. That's what helps it cure without the tackiness. So you must mix that wax in well. During transportation, that wax will be fighting to come to the top of the surface, and the top of the product will usually have a lot of wax in it and the bottom won't. So if you just simply pour it out of the tin without mixing it well, as I say, you're going to have inconsistencies in your coat. So when we say mix well, it doesn't mean a quick mix with a stick like you would with paint. You have to give it a really good 10-minute mix if you're doing it with a stick, but ideally we'd advise using a mechanical mixer on a drill and give it a really good mix, and then when you think you've mixed it enough, mix it some more. That's how thorough this product needs to be mixed before you use it. So once you have your tin all mixed up, then you can start weighing it out and transferring it into your bucket. So now we're ready to add the catalyst, and the usual dosage of catalyst is 2%. So we've got just over a kilo of product here. We're going to add 20 mils of hardener. So these catalyst dispensers, they'll go right up to 15 mil. So we're going to put 15 mil in and then add another 5. Going to be applying it by a brush, so use a good quality brush like the ones we have. Don't use an economy one, otherwise you'll lose bristles into your flow coat. And before you use a brush, make sure any loose bristles from manufacture are shook off. And we're going to give our flow coat a really good mix. You'll notice that the resin I've used to lay up the fiberglass panel is a lot lighter than the actual flow coat I'm going to use. The purpose of that is mainly for the camera, so you guys can see me applying it. It'll also help me see if I've missed any areas. If you do use a different colour base resin to your flow coat, always make sure it's lighter and not darker. By using the same colour, the advantage of that would be that if the flow coat chips, you're not going to see the damage as easy. Using a slightly lighter colour definitely helps, so you can see where you're applying the flow coat. Okay, so we're going to apply the flow coat. Now the mistake that everybody makes is they'll treat this like paint, and they'll start just applying it like this. Which is all good and well, but remember, you've just catalyzed this product and it's starting to cure off. So you don't want to be wasting your time doing this while that's curing. Flow coat will always go off quicker when it's in the bucket in a large mass than what it will when it's spread out onto the project surface. So we know we've measured the right amount of flow coat for this area. So this is how you would apply it. Get it out of the bucket and onto the job. Like I said, don't do this in direct sunlight, otherwise the UV is just going to kick these little spots off. You want a good shaded area. So you'll see I've gone in one direction just to spread it out, and now I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Now it's mostly covered, I can now start just finishing all in one direction and just slightly improve that surface finish. But you will at best get a brush line finish on this, but it will be weather protection for the fiberglass. It'll be easier to wash down, and it's a lot harder than a paint finish. So you can just catch it in the light and see what kind of finish we're getting with the brush. You can see the brush lines. So only use this for sealing freshly laid fiberglass like chop strand mat. The tissue will improve the finish. Use it for the inside of engine bays, the inside of lockers, the non-cosmetics inside of the hull, anywhere where you want to protect the fiberglass from water ingress and dirt. You wouldn't get an exterior boat hull finish with flow coat. Now there are things you can do with flow coat, such as thin them down a little bit with styrene. You can also add some resin to thin it down. Always make sure you add more pigment though to compensate for the resin that you've put in there, and also more wax to compensate for the extra resin. So some people might add, say, 3 parts flow coat to 1 part resin to make a nicer kind of leveling top coat. But it's not something we advise on. It's something that you would have to research and experiment yourself with. But this is just to demonstrate brush flow coat as it is and how it should be used. And here's how the cured laminate should look. It's got no tackiness to it. It's got a kind of a semi-gloss finish to it, and that's the rough side of the fiberglass all protected with a good hard coating that's easy to wash down.